Good morning, family. Can you hear me? Yeah, okay, great. No, I could feel you couldn't hear me. Good morning, family. Wherever you are on life's journey, you are welcome here. I have been a member of this church for 30 years, starting when I was 3 years old. And I have had a lot of pivotal moments of my life that I remember deeply. I was also part of the children's choir growing up, and I think I was in every single pageant that we ever did. One time I wore angel wings and accidentally knocked one of these candles, lighting the set on fire, if anyone remembers that. Another time, we used to do a lot of baptisms, and Stephanie Weiner, a former minister, would march the babies down the center of the aisle, kind of swaddling them and showing them to the people. And I carried the baby Jesus doing the same thing at one of the pageants. But I remember one of the most pivotal moments being when I was 13 years old. And I was going through the process of getting confirmed with Deb Williams as my mentor. And 2 weeks before we had our service, it was 2007, I think I gave her and my family a heart attack. As was custom at the time, each of us was given a division of labor and responsibilities of how we as the confirmands would put on the service, and I was in charge of the sermon. And as I was sitting there, I was thinking about, what am I going to say to this congregation? And what has this faith journey so far meant to me as a 13-year-old? And what I realized is that I didn't know if I believed in God. I'd come to church so many times, and on some Sundays I was bored. On other Sundays I was filled with joy, or I was inspired by the music. But at 13, I had never heard God speak to me. And I'd heard people in church talking about this relationship and spirit and praying, but I didn't know if in my bones and my body if I felt that, and if I could enter into a relationship with the church if I wasn't sure. And this is what I told my mentor. And I think I cried a lot about it at the time because, what do you do in that moment and in that instance? And I also felt skeptical about the Bible. How could I trust that these ancient words of Scripture were the writ word that I should follow for my life? How could I trust that this book, written by multiple different sources, was something that would be a guiding force? And as I explained this to my mentor and to my parents, I was met with encouragement to speak my truth. And so I stood before this congregation 20 years ago and said, I don't know if I believe in God, and I don't know if I believe in Scripture, but if I'm going to find my faith, then I want it to be here and in this community, because I love you all. And it's amazing to me, and I even feel emotional now, and I've felt emotional on many Sundays, because you all have been the backbone of my life. And that's something I think we take for granted when we're growing up in a church or when we're just surrounded by community, that by showing up every single Sunday, your generosity is multiplying in gifts far beyond that you know. When I was coming and I was younger, it was just the thing we did as the family. But now what I've seen is the transformation, particularly in the last 5 years, of beginning to find faith and to understand the value of community. Something that I believe many young people don't have. We often live very individual and separate lives. And there's something incredibly special that comes together surrounded by your value set and what matters to you. I look at myself now as an adult and as a leader in my own community, and I see how the values that this church taught me, of being open and affirming, of loving thy neighbor, of being welcomed wherever you are in your faith journey, being able to ask questions, things that we've heard in the testimonies over the last month, allow people to be met for who they are as they are. And I'm in awe. I feel proud of the church today, hearing all that we've accomplished just this year, and I know that's many years of work that have gotten us to this moment, but also in the ways that I see us navigate conflict. There are so few spaces as a young person where you can see it role modeled, what it's like to have divergent views, and to still come together as a community, standing in faith and going for a higher good. It's major. It's a really, really, really big deal. And what I want to say to you today on this Generosity Sunday is that our gifts are many and our gifts multiply. It is your time, it is your talent, and your treasure. But know that just by being here, by being present, by coming consistently, and by sowing these seeds over time, I believe that we don't know what seeds we have planted or when they've blossomed, but I want to stand as a testimony in front of you all of how you've invested in me just by being here, just by being you, and that has given me so much generosity, abundance, joy, love, and care, and I'm deeply grateful. Thank you.